Hello, everyone. We're going to take a few minutes here just to talk a little bit about tax time scams. So now that we're here in tax season, of course, you can expect a lot of people trying to take your money in any way that they possibly can without actually having to do some work themselves. And taxes are always one of the big ways they try to do it, especially because they can use the fear that we all have of the IRS. So they tend to try to leverage that fear into getting you to do certain things that give them information like your social security number or credit card numbers, things along those lines. So this will be real quick, but we'll just talk a little bit about it. But the first one I've already seen quite a bit. So I did some tax returns for some clients, and I got a call from one client in an absolute panic. Said he came home and had a voicemail on his phone that said, essentially, this is an IRS agent calling about how they have been identified for an audit, that they're being suspected of tax fraud. That was the big one, that they're being suspected of tax fraud and that they have to call this number to get things straightened out. So, of course, what's going to happen? The client would make the call. They'd say, well, we need some information. What's your social security number? They give the social, they'll probably pull it up, supposedly pull it up, and just tell them, oh, we're sorry, this isn't you. We made a mistake. Don't worry, you're fine. So then, the client would hang up the phone and feel good that they weren't in fact in trouble with the IRS, thinking everything's okay, but at that very moment they have just given their identity over to some thieves. So if you get any kind of calls from the IRS, ignore them. The IRS is not going to call you. You are going to get mail from the IRS. They are going to come at you that way. That's the first way that they're going to do it. So, if you have any kind of calls for any of that information, don't return the call. Ignore it. Talk to your tax preparer. If you don't have tax preparer, go talk to TurboTax or something. I don't know. The big thing here, and this is something that you shouldn't just do with tax time, but you never want to give your social security number out on the phone to someone who contacted you. Now, if you call your credit card company or if you call somebody, you initiated it, it's a legitimate number, and they ask for the last four or they ask for your social, that's okay, or at least it's better. But if you contact somebody who contacted you and you give out your social, you're asking for some trouble there. So don't do that. Just be aware that there are a lot of messages out there about the IRS calling for tax fraud on people. Don't worry about it. The other big thing that you see a lot now is through email. So clearly, as I've said before, the IRS is going to send you a lovely letter. They're not going to call you, and they're also not going to send you an email. But a lot of people freak out when they see the email. The scammers are very good. It'll say irs.com or in some way it'll look very legitimate. They're definitely going to have the logo of the IRS in the email. So many people who see it might get freaked out and immediately take action. And then that's when trouble happens. So the first thing that they typically do is they'll take you to a form. You'll click on it. They go to a form. It looks like an IRS formal page. And then it'll say, name, address, and the last for your social. And you put all that in. You hit enter. Now, at the very least, what many of these are doing is when you click on the link to install malware, so they can track what you're doing online. So even if it was completely harmless as far as not asking for your social or asking you to fill out a form, as soon as you click on the link, boom, you've got something on your computer that's going to track what you're doing online. So they can get your identity that way. So again, any email from the IRS or a state, the state of Maryland, I've seen some scams on that because we live in Maryland, but don't deal with it. Don't just delete it. Get rid of it. Another thing you have a lot of is preparer fraud, right? You're giving your very personal information over to people. So to prepare your taxes. So you have to make sure that they're legitimate. Obviously, the biggest thing that you have is theft of information. So you give your social, your name, all that good stuff, and basically they're taking that information and using it. A good tax preparer, if they're going to use your information for anything other than preparing your taxes, are going to have you sign a release of information. They're going to ask that you do that, so you can always say no, so that they can't share any information. But most of the theft of information is from just dirty taxpayers who are taking the information, probably unbeknownst to the tax office owner. The second one is theft of refund. This actually happens quite a bit too. You have to be careful there. Sometimes they'll direct it into their accounts. They may even have a check mailed to a different address. So just be sure that the money is going to the location that it should, whether it's your bank account or your home. But the other big thing that preparers do that really hurt is just bad tax preparation. They'll take bogus deductions and credits. Sometimes they'll do it without you even knowing. Now, you have to remember, anytime you sign your tax return, it's not the preparer who's on the hook here. The IRS is coming after you, not the preparer. So you are basically telling the IRS, I agree with what's on this return. So you need to be pretty sure the deductions and credits you're getting are legitimate. Don't let them just put things in. Also, don't let them just make it up. Don't say, well, you know what, the IRS probably isn't going to audit this. So let's take $500 for a non-cash charitable contribution, or let's throw this in here. They'll never look at this. You have to prepare your return as if there's going to be an audit. If you do that, you're not going to have any issues. You might not get as big a refund. You might owe even more than what you otherwise would if you're taking these deductions. But the big thing is, the last thing you want to have to deal with is the IRS. So just prepare your return ethically, and it's all going to work out. But just be careful that the tax preparer is not putting things in there that you didn't tell them, because you're the one that's on the hook for it. Another thing you see that pops up quite a bit during these periods are fake charities. So they promote the tax deduction for charitable giving. So a lot of times, especially around Christmas and then into the new year, you'll see people trying to get you to donate to various charities. You have to be sure that they're legitimate. There's a lot of people who go to extensive efforts in order to make it look like a real charity when in fact it's a fake. So the big thing here, I love Charity Navigator. It is one of the best sites if you're looking to give money to a charity. Charity Navigator will basically show you how that charity operates. It is a fantastic site if you want to see how effective the charity is at using your money, how much of your money being donated actually goes to the underlying cause, and how much of it goes to admin expenses. Also, Charity Watch is another good site too. I prefer Charity Navigator, but Charity Watch is good too. So make sure, if you're getting requests from various charities, especially promoting as a tax break, just check these sites out. Even if they're legitimate charities, you may not want to give to them if you find that only 70% of the money that you give goes to the underlying cause. So take a look at those. But these are some of the quick things. The biggest thing, again, the IRS is going to contact you via letter, so will the states. If you're getting emails or phone calls about that, do not reply to those. Do not give out your personal information. Do not give out your social security number. And for emails, if you're not certain, do not click on the link. So again, I said this will be real quick. I just wanted to put something out there because I know this is happening quite a bit. But if you'd like more information like this, we have many videos and newsletters on our website, picketfencefinancial.com. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. You can go ahead through that website and you can reach me via email. Thank you.